And my next guest is Tony Rios, and Tony is with Avionica, and you're working right now, Tony, on some interesting products that have to do with flight data recording in a market that's not normally, that hasn't normally been associated with flight data recording. So tell us about what you've got going on.
That's an excellent point. Yes, the market is usually in the air transport and airline world, but what's driving a lot of the interest today is, of course, gathering data, and data is good on all markets, including the markets we're exploring here. So today, the small miniaturized product allows it to be installed on everything from 777 aircraft to the Pilatus airplane, and even down to the Honda jets, which are brand new in the market. And the idea is to trend the flight data off these airplanes, make them more efficient, increase the safety, and just make them overall more efficient in operations.
What kind of data do you gather with this device?
The device is able to retrieve or record everything from what's called FOQA data, that's the aircraft parameters, to the engine parameters, engine health data. So engine manufacturers can use this to retrieve the engine health and track it, trend it over time, and make improvements on the engine designs, as well as offer services to the operator to improve the engine life on wing the airplane.
So your black box is actually a black box.
Yes.
And we all know that on transport category airplanes, those boxes are orange.
Right, that's right.
But does it fulfill much the same function?
It does actually. It records exactly the same flight data that the black box records. One of the differences is our product will record up to 2,000 hours of flight data, whereas black box is designed to record on the order of 25 to 30 hours of flight data. But it is recording the same flight data. In the applications that we mentioned earlier, for example, on the Honda jet, for example, it would record the engine parameters directly off the FADEC Avionics. So that would be a little different than what the black box would record. So it's an addition to black box data.
Are these kinds of devices required in business jets at this point in the market that you're looking for? Or is this something that operators are finding as a nice-to-have item?
It is a nice-to-have item. Today, business jet operators are required to maintain what's called a safety management system, an SMS system. FOQA is a component of SMS, and so therefore, right now, it's not a requirement to have a FOQA program, but it's certainly a business operational improvements, efficiency improvements, and something that a lot of business operators are using to operate their aircraft more efficiently and more safely.
Do you think, or do you see a time when it is a requirement for somebody in that category?
It is a requirement in other areas of the world, in other markets, and so yes, we do see that coming, where the benefits seen in other markets will also translate to here in the U.S. as well.
When you record flight data like this, and I know that it's mostly for, as you say, safety management systems and engine maintenance and things of that nature, but is this also something that down the road, heaven forbid something should happen to an airplane, the NTSB would start to look at to try and help figure out what happened in any situation where they might be involved?
Yes, and actually Avionica has been doing flight data systems now for about 25 years, and in our history we have cooperated with the NTSB on certain incidences that they were investigating. Much like a pilot, the NTSB is going to use all available data. So whether it's a crash-worthy data recorder or whether it's a GPS card or a GPS chip, they're going to take everything that they can. And so from that perspective, yes, we've coordinated with NTSB before on the type of data this will record. And
do these particular devices that you have here with you today, are they robust enough to be able to maintain data through a catastrophic event?
Not certified to. We do use complete solid-state memory and solid-state parts, so it is actually very reliable and very robust, as you're saying. But we've never qualified it to the same standards as a flight data recorder has. So.
Do you also do voice recording as well, or is it all data?
It's all data at this point.
Do you have plans for a voice recorder at some point down the road?
We actually have designs that are capable, but we have not seen that market for us yet. in a quick action recorder application.
Now, your device is already standard on several models. Take us through where you're already have an install base.
So there are approximately 8,000 of these devices around the world today. Those installations are, again, anywhere from 777 air transport aircrafts to Bombardier fleets, Challengers and Globals, CRJs. So today we have, Bombardier has this available right off the line. You can order your new Challenger 650 with this direct from Bombardier. You can also, a lot of them provide service bulletins as well. So Bombardier has service bulletins to apply to a retrofit fleet. And then Avionica, we maintain our own SDCs. So we do have an SDC today that has 300 aircraft models, approvals for 300 aircraft models on it. So that pretty much covers the population of aircrafts out there today that would require a data recording technology.
And you have a promotion going on for certain models of business jets. Tell us about that.
Yes, the promotion enables not just a data recorder, or I should say, in our business, in our market, we not only record the flight data, but we also provide an automated way of getting the flight data off the airplane. And this is through a 4G cellular device. And what we're doing as part of our promotional period is to offer not just the recorder, but also the service of retrieving that flight data automatically for 1 year of service. So an operator who is interested in trying this out for the first time could install this and operate it for 1 year for very little cost, basically the cost of the part itself.
How does the end user receive the data? And then how are they able to interpret that?
When you're using the data for focal purposes, which is again the flight quality assurance, this is the safety aspects, Avionica can provide the service of retrieving the flight data and delivering it directly to the company that's doing the service for them. So there are many focal service providers out in the world today. For example, GE has a service, Sagem has a service. So what we can do is we can deliver that flight data directly to GE for their focal program. We can also deliver simultaneously the data to a maintenance base where they would then analyze the data for maintenance purposes as well. So our data delivery service can deliver to many points simultaneously.
And how does that data delivery service work? What's your backbone like?
Well, Avionica manages a global network called AvSync, and so in combination with our SIM card, you can retrieve the flight data from anywhere in the world your aircraft might fly. And what we do is we establish secure network between the unit on the aircraft and the customer's server. And so we take the data from the aircraft directly to the to the customer server, or again, like I said, to the focal provider directly through private networks. But it is a global network. It works anywhere, basically almost anywhere in the world. And
it's getting a little down in the weeds, but is that a wireless transmission, or does somebody come out and plug an RJ45 into the airplane and download data?
Yeah, we have both options. You know, and this product here is a modular system. So if you were to start with a data recorder, you would do what you said. Somebody would have to walk up with a cable, with a laptop, retrieve the flight data off the unit, and then find their own way to transmit it. But many of our customers have opted to add this little component to the front of it, which automates it through the wireless. So it's a 4G type cellular network, and it's capable of 4G speeds, and then also backward compatible with 3 and 2G, as depending on what region of the world you're in.
And how secure is that?
We use VPN type of security to secure those lines, or secure those communications from anywhere in the world back to our headquarters. So it's very secure.
Oh, excuse me. How pervasive are you finding is now the desire for this kind of data? And I know you said that a lot of it has a requirement aspect to it, but are you finding that you're getting customers who say, I just need to know this, whether or not somebody tells me that I have to know it?
There's a transition in our industry towards something that's called predictive analysis, and that, up to now, many operators would remove parts based on cycle times, and these cycle times are established by the OEMs as saying this is what we believe the life of the part may be. The problem with that is either A, you're taking a part off the airplane before it's actually before it's done its service life, or you're surprised by an early failure. And in either case, it's an operational efficiency deduction. So a lot of companies, and companies like GE, for example, have unveiled programs called Predicts for GE that falls more into a predictive analysis where you can predict the service life of a certain part by looking at its data, at its life over time. So to your point, yes, there are safety aspects and there are regulatory aspects to equipping, but there are other drivers that have to do with just efficiency of operations and trending data over time for this predictive type analysis.
So can the device, does it have the capability of tracking, as you said, a specific component within an engine or within an aircraft and letting the operator know, oh, this is about to fail, or you have issues with a certain item that you might want to go and have your people look at and see if it's time to replace it?
That's absolutely right. There is a certain science to doing that data analytics, and so you'll find that there are, again, companies like a GE that are applying scientists to doing appropriate algorithms to do that sort of predictive analysis. So many operators, the way that I see this happening is many operators will share their data with a GE for that service of predicting the specific component failure. And hey, like you said, go take a look at tail number so-and-so. We believe the oil pump is going to be failing in the next week or so. And you can replace that oil pump before it causes a ground stop of the airplane.
So if you extrapolate that out then, and I'm just kind of speculating here, but if you had companies that would share that data, you might be able to come up with some kind of a broad database pool of information that would give overall operators a better idea of the lifespan of the components of their airplane.
That's an excellent point. You can profile, the parts, and that's exactly right. Some data analytics will eventually take us there, but what I see is, and what I find fascinating is even just a little bit of data almost immediately begins to give us those profiles. So yes, you're absolutely right.
Is there, we hear about in the air transport category that devices will talk to a centralized location during flight that would transmit data as far as engine parameters and things of that nature. Is that one of those things that this device can do, or is that something that you might be looking at down the road that would give that business jet operator the same opportunity to track what's going on inside their airplane during flight?
So today around the world there are, ICAO for example has come up with some recommendations on how to track airplanes. Those recommendations have to do with determining where the airplane is in the world. But to your point, what we see is the opportunity to not only say where the airplane is, but what the health of the health of the airplane is. So yes, we actually are able to tie this technology, this data record technology, to our satellite-based systems. We have an Iridium SATCOM system as well that we offer. So those two together will provide exactly that function, is look for certain parameters on the airplane, and when a certain exceedance is detected, to be able to transmit some of that off the airplane to let everybody know that that's happening in flight. And
then how is that information relayed back to the pilot flying the airplane, or is it relayed back so that he might be able to take some kind of corrective action before there's a failure?
So the data coming off the airplane is of course a data channel. We offer the voice channel as well. So the maintenance operations on the ground could dial a phone number and call the pilot and say, we just received this message, are you aware this is happening? Can we work together to get it resolved?
It's fascinating stuff. Really is. It's fascinating stuff, Tony, and I'm sure that as the technology improves, that there will be more and more opportunities for the airplane to talk back to the pilot, and kind of it starts to almost be like Hal says, excuse me, something's going on back here that you need to be aware of.
Yes. You can see how we get closer to the automated fixing of itself, and it's really interesting where we're going with this. Absolutely.
Well, I really appreciate you taking some time to come over and talk with us from Avionica. It's as I said, it's very interesting stuff, and I hope you're having a really good show here at AEA 2017.
All right, thank you, Tom.
Aero-News Network's coverage of the 60th Annual AEA International Convention and Trade Show, live from New Orleans, is brought to you in part by the following sponsors.
It's called AirText Plus. The mobile office is now a true, cost-effective win-win reality, because being available and part of the communication chain keeps you in control. Visit us at www.airtext.aero for more information and get started staying in touch today.
FreeFlight Systems is expanding its business into the Part 25 aviation industry through new avionics shop dealers, manufacturer partnerships, and STC programs. With a focus on the next-gen airspace and remote-mounted sensor systems, FreeFlight Systems will continue to be a leader in the next-gen airspace. Visit freeflightsystems.com for details.